Hey guys, and happy 2021. I don't think I've posted a new video in the new year on this channel, and I hope to change my priorities a little bit and prioritize this channel because I have a little secret. It's my favorite of my channels, just saying. This will be the last video that you see in this location because in 2 days I will be moving. So that's kind of exciting. If you want to know the backstory as to why I'm moving, and it's not just because, I will link that video from my other channel up here, and also I did a packing vlog where I packed up my life, and if you want to watch that process, go check it out. So one of my intentions of 2021 with this channel is to go back to my roots a little bit and do more singular movie reviews because I feel like the lists are just getting a little bit repetitive. I've gotten comments saying they're repetitive because you have come to expect certain movies for me to talk about, and I'm just kind of repeating myself over and over again, and I felt that, and I don't want to get burnt out by doing that. So the lists are still here. Obviously I'm still going to be doing all those lists, but I want to get back to doing just regular old movie reviews where I talk about one movie for one video. These videos will probably be a little bit shorter than my normal content. My list videos can be kind of long, as you know, so these you can expect to be a little bit shorter. So hopefully that adds a little bit more variety to my channel too, because not everyone is here for the 20-minute videos. So hopefully videos like this will kind of add a little spice and a little, what do I want to call it? A refresh in my channel, if you will. So we're starting solo reviews back up with the movie Possessor, which came out in 2020. And this is a sci-fi horror that is directed by Brandon Cronenberg. And if that name sounds familiar, this is the son of David Cronenberg, who is famous for movies such as Scanners and The Fly. Also kind of in the same sci-fi body horror genre. So Possessor follows an agent who works for a secret organization that uses brain implant technology to inhabit other people's bodies in order to execute assassinations for high-profile clients. So this movie is full of body horror and is primarily practical effects, which is amazing. Probably my favorite thing about this movie. The director did not want to use a lot of CGI. There are actually 2 versions of the script for Possessor, and Cronenberg says that there will probably be a second movie down the line that's going to include everything that didn't make this movie. I just got a package at my door. I don't know if you could hear that. So I'm going to say right off the bat that this movie is a very, very graphic movie. I don't think it comes across as gratuitous, but in order to get the R rating in the US, he did have to cut out some sex scenes and violence in order to get that rating. And there will be deleted scenes and featurettes added to the home video once that's released. I'm actually kind of relieved and glad that they did end up cutting some of these scenes. The violence I probably could have standed, but if there was just more and more, it probably would have felt a little exploitative to me, and we don't want to lose plot and story with just graphic violence and sex scenes throughout, you know? That's a personal preference, of course. It is still quite a graphic movie, though, in both violence and sex scenes. Not necessarily in a bad way. I think the amount that they chose to go with and what they did end up cutting really worked for it, because I think it was the perfect amount. Any more, and to me, it probably would have felt a little gratuitous. That being said, this movie is so disturbing at parts. I mean, obviously with the body horror stuff going on, it's disturbing, but in the most like fascinating way, in like a science fiction way. You're like intrigued in what's going to happen next because they have different technologies and you're figuring out how the technology works in the movie. You're just so fascinated by it and wanting to know what comes next, how graphic is it going to go. I also want to point out that Brandon Cronenberg also made the 2012 movie Antiviral, which is very similar to me to this movie, to Possessor, because it is also kind of a sci-fi near future body horror. So if you liked one or the other, you're probably going to like the other one. I personally love this type of sci-fi horror, the kind that feels near future and very plausible in the direction that our technology can go, because it just feels very realistic. It's not too far in the future where the sci-fi is unbelievable. It's just believable enough I mean, it's still like a science fiction. It's not real, and it probably won't ever be real, obviously. But the fact that this kind of big technology is set in a very realistic time frame, it feels like this could be near future or our reality at some point. This is a very like Black Mirror-y type of movie if they push the violence more and push the possibilities of the technology a little bit more. So if you're into Black Mirror, I highly recommend Possessor. And I think the payoff of this movie is actually so incredible. I loved the ending, as shocking as it was. I did not see it coming by any means, but I loved it. I loved how it ended. I don't want to spoil anything. This is not a spoiler review, but the payoff is definitely worth it. I have seen some people, I kind of agree with this, that it's a little bit slow. It's slow to get through the plot points. It's a little bit slow at parts. I don't think that this movie is necessarily super original, even though it's kind of not been done in this way before. But given Cronenberg's other work and his dad's work, I don't think that this is super original of a concept. However, in today's day and age, in 2020, yeah, it's, well, I mean 2021, but it's released in 2020. Yeah, it's original. It's different to what we've been seeing for the past 10 years or so. I feel like we've really been missing this kind of classic 80s practical effects, body horror, sci-fi horror. At least I've been missing it, and I had no idea I was even missing it. Even though I love movies like John Carpenter's The Thing, I guess I was missing it in modern times, especially with modern practical effect technology. I think it's so amazing to see what we can actually do with it. Also, this movie, I feel like should have been more mainstream, and it's definitely suffered due to the pandemic. This is a kind of movie that I think deserved a theatrical release. Obviously, there's going to be many, many movies that deserve that, especially in 2021 when we're finally going to be getting these movies that were supposed to come out in 2020. Also, I'm speaking for the United States, not everywhere else in the world, obviously, because everywhere else is getting their shit together, and we still don't have movie theaters open, really. So, I mean, some of them are open, but I'm not gonna go to the movie theater right now. But this movie definitely, I think, would have been more maybe not super successful at the box office or in theaters if it got a theatrical release, at least in the US, because it is a different type of movie for modern times. But I think a lot of horror fans would really appreciate this movie because of its roots kind of in the 80s body horror style of it, but still modernized with the technology and the modern setting. I will say that the strongest parts of this movie is the body horror, and we don't get too much of like the really disturbing body horror, which I wish we did. What we did get was really amazing, and it is the best part of the movie. I will say the story is okay. I liked the story and where it went, especially in the end, but it did take a minute to get there. Like I said, the character development wasn't super strong. I disagree with some of the reviews saying you don't care about the characters like at all, but I do find myself rooting for certain people in the end, so they obviously did something well in developing character. And I was really worried where it was gonna go with the end, because I was worried it would just kind of fizzle out and it would just continue to show like these random assassinations that we just don't care about. I think the beginning was really strong with this random assassination, but I was worried it was just going to be sprinkled throughout and we were just going to watch her possess people's bodies and carry out these assassinations. But it doesn't do that. It completely changes tone and not what I expected. I did see a lot of negative reviews for this movie, however. It has high ratings, but the non-critic reviews and things like that are pretty negative, which I was honestly surprised. I don't know if they're expecting like a David Cronenberg type movie and they got a Brandon Cronenberg type movie. You can obviously see the influence of his dad, but I think separated from that, he was really good at executing a kind of modernized sci-fi 80s body horror. Maybe it is more of a love-hate type of movie than I realized. I think that most horror fans would enjoy this movie, or at least be entertained by this movie, because it's done really well. The acting's pretty decent. The story, although a little slow, gets there in the end, and the practical effects are phenomenal. I mean, who doesn't love practical effects in the horror community? This movie isn't perfect by any means, but it's definitely what I needed as a horror fan, and it made me excited about the horror genre again, because obviously we've been getting a lot of supernatural in the last 10 years, and I love a good supernatural horror, but this was such a nice refresh, although not completely original. I think it's such a nice, like a breath of fresh air for the horror genre right now. I gave this movie 4 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd, which I have been more active on there there lately. A lot of people ask me to make a letterbox or what is it. I'll have it linked down below. You can go follow me on there. But Possessor was definitely my favorite probably movie. No, not my favorite. I still have others that I liked more. I think that came out in 2020, but definitely up there and highly, highly recommend. I wish we had more horror releases of 2020. I know there's tons that I'm missing that came out to streaming that I didn't keep track of. So if you have any that you want me to specifically review that came out last year, please let me know. I do admire the studio companies that are willing to put their movies to streaming, such as Promising Young Woman. That I'm going to be renting, and if you want a review for that, let me know. It's kind of like a dark comedy, but I can review it, I guess. I do want to kind of blur the lines on genres, so if things are thriller, or I want to do a video on space apocalypse movies, I don't know. But yeah, if you just want to let me know what movies you specifically want me to talk about in these singular reviews, please let me know down below. Let me know what you think about the the singular reviews coming back, if you're excited for them. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I look forward to see you in my next place, in my next apartment. My next video will be in the new place. I hope you're excited to see that, and follow my other channel for updates on the move and things like that if you're interested. And I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.